real tricky. Basically the same layout as last week, but the soil, that dark, rich soil, is like riding on glue, and it's going to get rutted.
The qualifying procedure for Supercross has each rider running in one of 2 qualifying rounds, with the top 4 finishers headed directly to the main event. They will also get their pick of the top gate positions. The rest of the field goes into the semifinals, where the top 5 from each get to transfer to the main. And then there's only one more chance at the money. Only 2 gate positions are left, and that would be filled by the top 2 from the LCQ, the last chance qualifier. 30-second board is up. Let's go down to Marty Reed. Marty.
Quick update on number 11, Kyle Lewis. You remember he had a spill a while back. Separated his collarbone and then also had a bruise on his lung. He just wanted to come back. He says he's only about 80%, but he just couldn't stay off the bike. We'll keep our eye on him.
Here in heat number 1, it's Damon Huffman, Jeff Emming, Mike LaRocco, Phil Lawrence, Brian Swink, Jimmy Button, Kyle Lewis. Kevin Windham out of the 125 ranks gets a chance at the 250s. He feels the pressure is off right now. Okay, we're set to go for the first race action of the evening, and they're off. It's Jeff Emming, number 2, breaking out in front. On the inside is Damon Huffman, number 10, with Brian Swink, number 23, Jimmy Button, 100. And number 24, Denny Stevenson, is fading right now. Out in front, Jeff Emming on the horseshoe turn before going into the first triple.
And man, he sure looks good, Art. He got out of the starting gate. He had a whole shot fight, couple of bike links, and he had an excellent line through that whoop section, already starting to pull away.
Jeff Emming, number 1, and Jimmy Button, 100, is in the second position, with Damon Huffman, Emming's teammate, in third.
Jimmy Button doing the triple. Emming didn't do it. Those ruts are starting to be a problem right there. Almost you saw a pass of the lead.
And a surprise in 4th position, Mike Catton from Spartan, Ohio. He is a true privateer, not even a member of an independent team. Out front, you see number 2, Emming. Number 100, Jimmy Button. Button looking very fast.
Oh, he looks great. He had Huffman up there ahead of him in the first corner through the whoops, and he made it by him. Looks pretty aggressive right now. You see Emming jumping into the whoops right there. Some problems.
Phil Lawrence and Stevenson, Denny Stevenson, number 24. Phil Lawrence, the top privateer, might have to go to the semifinal round right now. Out in front, number 2, Jeff Emming now starting to pull away from Jimmy Button a little bit, and we might find a battle coming up a little later for second place with Damon Huffman.
Well, Emming's mechanic thinks he looks just as good as we do, obviously. He's got everything going his way right now. He's starting to find his lines. He jumped the triple that lap, so he's starting to get everything hooked up.
Emming, number 3 in the point structure, would love to have a good race here on this relatively easy track. And there you see the 3rd position and 4th position. 4th and 5th, Catton and Brian Swink.
Saw Swink going to the first corner, the front end washing out just a little bit. They're trying to do anything they can to stay out of the rut.
And looking right behind them, number 38, here comes Kevin Windham. He's attacking Brian Swink down right now, trying to get into the main event by being in the top 4.
Well, he didn't get the best start, but he had to move around a couple of guys. Look how creative he is right there. He jumps a jump right there. He did a triple from the inside. I haven't seen anyone do that all day. Turns it into a pass.
In front of Catton now. He'll take on Brian Swink. Here comes Kevin Windham, bar to bar with Swink. Going to the outside. Swink has the advantage inside. Kevin slows down so as to not to bang into his rear tire, but he's in good position to take him over.
Well, watch this kid go to work. He doesn't follow, but he's got to get pretty creative to get around Swink. Swink is tough to pass, and he'll muscle his way back in front of you even if you do get around.
This is for the final transfer spot to go to the main event. As we mentioned before, the top 4 come out of the qualifying rounds. This is the battle for 4th place.
You know, Windham riding the rear wheel through the beginning of that whoop section. This is where he got close the last lap. He had an inside line right here. See if he does it again.
Windham to the inside, but Swink, using his veteran knowledge, the Honda Troy rider, holds on to 4th place. Damon Huffman is now putting the pressure on Jimmy Button. There you see Button on the left part of your screen. And Damon Huffman, number 10, trying to move into the second spot of the order. There you see our field summary. Jeff Emming, Button in second place, but he's being challenged by Huffman all the way. Swink and Windham are top 5. We'll be back after this. Qualifying is underway, and you see Jimmy Button, number 100, in second place, being hounded by number 10, Damon Huffman.
Good shot of him going over the triple jump. These guys are getting so much air that the takeoffs are really steep this week. And you can see how much trouble they're having just trying to jump over the simple little double jumps because of all the ruts starting to develop.
Wyndham has moved into 4th position, getting around Brian Swink finally.
Well, he's riding good. It was tough to get around Swink. He's already started to pull away a little bit, but he's way behind this battle.
Wonderful break for the 250 rider, Kevin Wyndham, after coming out of the 125 ranks. This is not his 125 division, so it gives him an opportunity.
Well, the kid's so relaxed anyway. He just smiles. He reminds me a lot, I've said this before, of Jeremy McGrath. That was just a real lackadaisical sort of approach, just having fun out there. And riding the 250 class, doesn't really have anything to worry about there either, so I'm sure he's going to ride real relaxed here tonight.
Brian Lennis, the mechanic on the Kawasaki crew, has Emig way out in front. Jimmy Button trying to hold on to second place, number 100. He makes a little bobble. Here comes David Huffman. Huffman gets the advantage, and they bounce bikes into the corner. Jimmy Button won't let it happen.
Well, that was a great move by Button. He just kept his line. Mechanic for Damon Huffman, Lunas, trying to get Huffman to use the outside line. He used it right there, thought he had the pass made, but if you don't get it completely made, Button shows what you can do. You can just go back in there and shut the door.
Here's Jimmy Button in the 2nd position. Number 10 is Huffman, and behind on the, just going into the whoops, is Kevin Wyndham in the 4th position. That's the way it probably will end up if they all stay up. Look at Huffman. Jumps inside Jimmy Button. What a gutsy move, even a dangerous move. Back and forth, Damon Huffman and Jimmy Button. Button has the inside edge. Oh, bringing the crowd alive here in the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. Jimmy Button has got good position. He won't give him the track. White flag lap. Huffman in 2nd place as they go for the final lap.
Well, Huffman kept trying on the outside to get around. It wasn't working because as long as Button was close enough, he controlled that inside line. It wasn't paying off, but finally, Huffman played it smart. He knew that that outside line coming into the corner before the finish line would put him back on the inside, and finally was able to kind of choke out Button.
Well, Huffman taking over 2nd spot on a real gutsy move on that jumping move.
Well, Button right there again was not able to jump over that simple double jump. They get tougher as the night wears on. I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but each time these ruts get deeper, and they do lap after lap, these doubles get tough to jump, and Huffman had a good line through there.
Here is our leader in our first qualifying heat, Jeff Emig. Emig has done some wonderful qualifying rounds this year as he takes the checkered flag. Looking forward now, going right to the main event. Damon Huffman will be in 2nd place, Jimmy Button in 3rd, and Kevin Wyndham is not getting a challenge for the final transfer spot in number 4. So they'll get their pick at top gate positions from the first heat. We'll return. Marty Reed will be talking with our winner at the victory podium.
Fact, it'll rain.
Indianapolis, these 4 riders have earned their way to the main event, with LaRocco, Lawrence, Swink, and Lewis having now to go to the semifinals. Some big names. Let's go down to Marty Reed, who's with Jeff Emig.
Very happy, Jeff Emig, Art. You like the ruts. It's obvious. I mean, you handled them very well.
Well, you know, you really have to look ahead, you know, and you have to use your head, too. And, I mean, you know, it's pretty soft tonight, you know, but, you know, I was just, you know, looking ahead, you know, like I said, you know, like, and I was trying to put in some fast laps, you know, because, you know, to be ready for the main event, you're going to have to be ready, you know, to go real fast. And so, you know, that's what I'm trying to do.
Now, you've had some great heat performances before this season, and, of course, Jeremy's managed to come through. It's tonight the night. Are you going to break through?
Well, I sure hope so. You know, all the guys, you know, like at Kawasaki, they've been working on the bike, and I mean, you know, the thing is just awesome. And you know, like, and I've been working on myself and working on my head, you know, trying to focus on going faster, you know. So that's what I've been doing. And you know, but I'd like to thank you know, with Kawasaki Motor Corporation and Thor Motorsports, Scott Goggles, Shoei Helmets, Alpine Star boots, you know, Bridgestone tires, you know, like they've done, you know, like just, I mean, you know, like a huge amount of work lately. You know, like, and I also like to thank Arnett Sunglasses.
Well, he got them all in, Art. There's your winner in Heat 1.
Okay. It's been a record-breaking year for crowds everywhere we've gone this year, and another great one right here at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. The 2nd heat win in as many weeks for Jeff Emig, and here is the guy that he's trying to take advantage of when it comes main event time. Jeremy McGrath here in heat number 2. He's been beaten only twice in heat races this year, David.
Once by his teammate in Daytona.
And once by Amick. Steve Lamson, of course, out with a broken toe. Hughes has looked very good, moving up to 4th in the point standings after his 2nd place in Dallas.
I talked to him earlier. He's been here all week. He got here Thursday early for press day and spent a lot of time in the arcade playing video games, trying to keep himself busy. So he's like been locked up in a cage. He's ready to go.
Todd DeHoop finally getting on his number 18 machine as you look at Chad Watts, the mechanic for Hughes. Hughes shaking it out. You had some kind of routine up at that starting line, I'm sure, David Bailey.
Yeah, I just close my eyes and try to concentrate on being as relaxed as I could possibly be. Because anytime you're nervous, your whole body reacts differently. You can't speak the same, you can't act the same, you can't ride the same. Just try to stay relaxed, remind myself of races when I did ride well, try to anchor myself there.
Skip Norfolk giving last-second instructions to Jeremy McGrath as he put his goggles on. The rest of the 250 hopefuls now trying to get ready for heat number 2 of qualifying here in Indianapolis. It's very important for gate positions when the start of a Supercross main event is so extremely important as far as the results are concerned.
A lot of times Jeremy lines up right next to the starter's box, but I think he can see that tonight it's very important to line up to the inside to have all those pileups in the first corner.
He's got Mike Brown to his left, and then Bradshaw further there. Bradshaw cutting to the inside, number 28. But Jeremy McGrath gets the angle. Jeremy McGrath out on top. Brown or Larry Ward goes down in the corner as Bradshaw takes over second. Doug Henry, number 15, is in third with number 34, Ezra Lusk.
Mike Brown, it was, as it turned out, went down the first corner. Looked like Bradshaw was going to have the whole shot, but he clipped a hay bale. McGrath didn't leave him any room.
Right now behind Jeremy McGrath is number 28, Damon Bradshaw, and 15, Doug Henry. Ezra Lusk is being hounded, and Ryan Hughes is the hounder.
And Hughes is already by. He was able to do that triple.
Now it's going to be interesting to see if this less difficult track can prove to be a good factor in challenging a Jeremy McGrath. And Damon Bradshaw is trying to do just that.
Well, last week, Damon Bradshaw had Buddy Antunez in between himself and McGrath, and Antunez's bike went tumbling through the air, took Bradshaw out of the picture, and now Bradshaw has a great opportunity to go up and run with Jeremy, something he hasn't been able to do since his comeback.
Bradshaw, after his comeback, has had 3 podium appearances so far this year, and there's third place Doug Henry, who it's a miracle he's back racing at all after the broken back at Budds Creek last year. Ryan Hughes is on his back tire.
On the last lap coming through here, Henry wasn't able to do the triple. Hughes did it. Now they both get over clean this time, but Hughes is making up a lot of time, and he's also on the inside in a lot of places. I think learning from Jeremy, if you can just get up next to somebody, you've already got the pass made.
So it's McGrath, Bradshaw, Henry, Hughes, Lusk, and then Larry Ward, number 6. With only the top 4 going to the main event out of this qualifying heat.
And Doug Henry jumping that entire finish line jump. Gets a little reaction from the crowd. He's the first guy I've seen do it so far tonight.
He wants to get right into that main event.
He's a jumper.
His arms and legs are as strong as they've ever been, but after that back surgery, in which he still has a titanium cage inside his body, he says his stomach and back muscles haven't quite come around yet. It'll take at least a year for those muscles to totally heal.
Oh, a little mistake right there. Henry trying to cover the line from, I think he could sense that Hughes is coming up the inside there on the last lap. Tried to cut in there, made a mistake. He's unfamiliar with that line.
So it'll be interesting to see now if Ezra Lusk can pull up on Henry for that final transfer spot. Here's the final finish line jump. In a bad position for Henry. He couldn't get a good launch.
But his teammate Bradshaw was up in front of these guys, running second, jumped that finish line jump, trying to stay a little closer to McGrath, who was starting to pull away a little bit.
McGrath, a 3-second lead on Damon Bradshaw here in the second qualifying heat. And this is the third position. Ryan Hughes with Doug Henry pulling up. Ezra Lusk right behind Henry for that final transfer.
Henry made some mistakes through that section on the last lap. Now he's starting to follow the lines of Hughes. Hughes is pretty creative out there, and he's got a good pace going. So see if you can learn a little bit from him.
Hughes, number 5. We mentioned he's just coming off his second place finish in last week's action in Texas. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Guys, we were down here watching Wyatt Seals, the mechanic for Ryan Hughes. He put up a sign saying, feet up, feet up. And David, this track is so grippy, he wants him to keep those feet up.
I think so. Anytime you stick your foot down in that dirt, it grips your foot back. You lose control of the front end. Also scrub off a little speed. So keep your feet up. Keep the momentum there. Anytime you got to put your foot down, you're obviously going slow.
Second place is Damon Bradshaw, and Hughes is starting to pick up time on Damon.
Hughes has got a good pace, and like I said, the opening of the show, he's always a piece of his puzzle missing. And again, he's riding fantastic here, probably as fast as McGrath, but he didn't get the start, having to come from behind once again.
Hughes has had one heat win on the year, and that's Damon Bradshaw. Number 28. It's good to have him back in the game, David.
It's great, and the crowd here in Indianapolis gave him a very warm welcome during the opening ceremony. Look at him jumping that finish line jump. Hughes got a good look at it that time.
It's not an easy landing, and Doug Henry tries it as well and really jars his body when he lands.
Well, because of the sticky soil, when they come down, they come straight down. They stick the bike, and they can't make the corner.
Oh, this is exciting qualifying action on round number 10 from Indianapolis. We'll be back with the checkered flag and see who advances to the main event after these important words.
First time you see it, you'll say two words, and the first one is holy. You can't.
Corner that keeps the frame and the foot pegs from dragging in those deep ruts.
Jeremy McGrath, the checkered flag. Coming around the corner now, number 28, Damon Bradshaw has a lapper in front of him, and Ryan Hughes right behind him. That'll be second and third. Bradshaw, along with Hughes and Doug Henry, a major accomplishment, takes the final transfer spot, holding off Ezra Lusk and Larry Ward. So we'll be right back with the words of wisdom from the champion, the Supermac, or call him Showtime, Jeremy McGrath, after these words. Reed with Supercross from Indianapolis, and here's our official look at the Suzuki top four from heat number 2, advancing to the main event. McGrath, Bradshaw, Hughes, Henry. So that means, David, that Lusk, Ward, Albertine, and Brown, who went down in the first lap, have to go to the semifinal.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that Brown will have to go to the semi after to come from last, but Lusk, he had a pretty good start, and the last 2 weeks, 4th place in the main event. Looked like pretty confident in practice, too, coming off those good finishes, but that's disappointing for him having to go to the semi.
Not only that, but he won a heat and took second in the next week in Texas before those fine performances. Let's go down to Marty Reed, who's with Jeremy.
Well, last week at Dallas, the flying through the air was a little bit more spectacular for Jeremy McGrath. You were saying you got to tiptoe it out there a little bit because of the track conditions, right?
Track conditions are really tough today. You know, the track's really soft, and it's tough out there. I mean, you got to get a good start, and you can't force anything. You just got to be really smooth because there's going to be a lot of mistakes with a soft ground like this.
I asked you before the show tonight, anything new, and you said no, except one thing.
Just new pants and jersey.
That's it, guys. It's the same old story. He keeps winning. We keep talking to him. We'll keep trying to find something new to throw in there from time to time. Congratulations. Good job.
Thanks a lot.
A fabulous crowd here in Indianapolis, Marty Reed's hometown. The Wild and Woolly semifinals coming up next, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Chicken, Jeff Matasevich, number 21. Mike Craig held down third early on, but number 1, Jeremy McGrath, was on the move, and right here in the finish line jump, Craig comes up short. McGrath plows into him, barely keeps it on 2 wheels, and Craig, shaking his head, drops another spot to Larry Ward. But the battle for the lead was on. McGrath applying the pressure, and in one of Matasevich's best rides of the season, still wasn't good enough to hold off Jeremy McGrath. Jeremy eventually went on to pass Emig and pick up another win, successfully defending a Supercross title, and Jeff Emig coming in second, pretty happy about it.
One of the 3 wins here in Indianapolis for McGrath, and of course the second place that year in 1994 was Emig's best Supercross finish.
He looked good. He seemed happy about it. Anytime you see a guy go over the finish line, jump, crossing it up, waving to the crowd in second place, well, you know, no one else could beat Jeremy McGrath that year, so I guess Emig felt like that was a victory.
Number 359, Tim Hawthorne, just getting to the gate. Marty, you're down trackside.
Yeah, and James Polvolny is also just getting to the gate. He's putting his helmet on. 3 guys we got to keep our eyes on. They had terrible heat races. Mike LaRocco went down in a crash. So did the number 13 of Phil Lawrence, as did Brian Swink. He had all kinds of bumping and grinding problems. They're still waiting for Polovny to get himself buckled up and on board the bike, and it looks like the 30-second board has yet to go up, but we're ready to go racing down here, guys.
David, an important semifinal round because there's only 5 positions available to go directly to the main event out of the semifinals. 32nd board, as you see, is up, so there's got to be some butterflies at that starting gate.
Well, I think so. It's loaded with factory talent. We get a good look at LaRocco starting just to the inside of that starter's box, but I think inside of him is where most of the hole shots have been coming from so far this evening. So he's got to get a good jump over the gate, and that's something he hasn't done very good all year long.
That 30 seconds seems to be a long time as they air out their goggles and get set to start revving it up, and it'll start right now. 5 to 10 seconds, the gate will drop, and we'll be off with the semifinal number 1. Head number 85 is out in front with Swink to the inside. And it's Hedden securing the lead. He tries to qualify in both the 125s and the 250s. And here are the 250s. He's got a good shot. Brian Swink in second place. And it's Denny Stevenson, number 24, in third.
You see all those guys bunching up. That's going to help the guys who didn't get such good starts. LaRocco and Phil Lawrence are way back in the pack, but as long as the leaders bunch up like that, hold each other up, that'll allow them to stay close.
Here's our leader, Honda of Troy's Brian Swink, with Denny Stevenson now moving into second place. Michael Jones, number 49, in third.
A big lead right there for Swink. It was good for him to get into the lead as quick as he could. He was fast in the heat race, but he made some mistakes.
And here comes number 11, Kyle Lewis. What a story that is. He's only about 75% after going down at Daytona and injuring his collarbone and his ribs. He is back trying to make the main event here at only 75%.
You can see just back there behind them is LaRocco and then number 13, Phil Lawrence, finally coming into the picture. So Lawrence got a long ways to go.
Brian Swink is pulling away. Number 24, Denny Stevenson in second place with Kyle Lewis in third.
Well, anytime they make an easy racetrack like this, I don't mean to say easy, but you can see the mechanic. I'm not sure who that was for. I think Lawrence, stay loose. But as I was saying, the track's pretty easy compared to what we've seen so far this season. And what happens is it doesn't really separate the talent that much. It's an even race. Really tough for guys like LaRocco to make up time.
Oh, here comes Lewis trying to make the move on Stevenson. He boxes him out. Look behind them, though. Mike LaRocco is not very far away. Kyle Lewis makes the mistake. Jones tries to cut inside. LaRocco is the yellow Suzuki right behind them.
You can see those two guys in front of him going everywhere. LaRocco trying to get around Jones on the inside. Jones shuts the door. You know, it's very tough, as I just pointed out, for LaRocco to find another line. He went into that corner after the finish line jump. All the best lines are taken up, so he's got to go somewhere else.
Kyle Lewis, though, continues to hold on to that position. Marty Reed.
Well, guys, we were talking about Kyle Lewis before the heat race. He told me before the action tonight, I can go about 15 minutes before I really start to feel the fatigue factor setting in. This is only a 6-lap race. He won't reach that 15-minute mark. This could be his chance.
Well, if he's getting tired in 6 laps, he's really going to be hurting in the main event when they add 14 more to that.
Okay, it is Brian Swink way out in front. Denny Stevenson in second, Kyle Lewis in third, and we're looking back there at fourth. Jones, LaRocco into fifth. And it's Phil Lawrence right behind him, number 13. We'll be back with the checkered flag in semifinal number 1 right when we return. Behind them.
Well, LaRocco, this is about as close as he's going to get to a hometown Supercross other than Pontiac, and a lot of cheers from the crowd when they introduced the riders, and he's looking at possibly having to go to the last chance qualifier if he can't get it in gear here.
Second, third place, fourth place, all tightening up. Here comes Kyle Lewis. What a ride he's putting in after that injury.
Well, sometimes after an injury, you come back and you don't expect a lot from yourself. You just try to go out there and do the best you can. You attack the race maybe a little bit more relaxed, and maybe that's what's paying off for him right now.
He said he came back only to kill the boredom and not ride real tough because he knew he was injured, and he passes Denny Stevenson into second place.
And what's happening is I don't think Lewis is capable of running the pace he would normally run if he was 100%, as they got a lap to go now. And it's holding everybody up. Now you can see Lawrence and LaRocco right there bunched up. LaRocco's got to get around one of these two guys or he's in the last chance qualifier.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Here and near his hometown, South Bend, Indiana, is where he lives in the offseason. LaRocco cutting to the inside, just can't pick off Phil Lawrence, and Lawrence he goes off the track. Well, that's the break LaRocco needed. And the top privateer, 7th in the points, Phil Lawrence, looks like he'll be going to the last chance qualifier.
Now Swink now starting to show off a little bit for the crowd. Did a can-can. He's been just pulling away, jumping the finish line jump, doing the triples, not having any troubles, and that was scary for Lawrence. He's lucky he didn't crash.
So Lawrence escapes injury, but he does not make the main event from the semifinal round as Brian Swink easily coasting over the finish line jump. Kyle Lewis in second, LaRocco in third, Denny Stevenson in fourth, and Michael Jones taking fifth, with Lawrence getting up for sixth place, but he'll have to go to the LCQ. So here are two teammates from the Great Western team, Stevenson and Phil Lawrence. And Lawrence came out the worst for wear as LaRocco made it to the main event, number 8 on the Suzuki. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, we're standing down here with Brian Swink, and you were talking about, you know, your heat race. You just weren't real happy. You just didn't ride very well, but you did a nice job there. What was the difference?
The difference, I don't ride that good when I'm cold, and you sit for about 5 or 6 hours. Now it's cold out there the first few laps. So then that race, I got to start. And if I can get a start and get by myself, I can ride a lot better. I have a tendency to worry about the guys in front of me or behind me or whatever. If I can get alone, then I can ride a good pace.
It's amazing, you know, everybody says it's easy, you know, just go out there and ride your own race. But you mentioned you have a tendency to want to think about everybody else. It's tough out there.
Yeah, you know, it's just natural. Some guys can ride like there's nobody around them, and some guys have trouble thinking, you know, no, this guy's behind me or in front of me or whatever, and I have that problem, and if I can get through that, I'll, you know, be a lot better off.
Well, now you can think about the main event because you're in it. Art?
Okay, thanks a lot, Marty. As the second semifinal bikes are getting to the gate, there you see Larry Ward, number 6, Buddy Antonez, number 22, number 16. That's Ian Harrison, the mechanic, stepping in with his rider, Greg Albertine, here in this fabulous RCA Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana. So Phil Lawrence, who's had a real good run for an independent team rider all year long, David Bailey, has to go to the last chance qualifier. What does that mean to someone like Phil Lawrence?
Well, he's been climbing up the points, trying to close out the season indoors anyway, hopefully in the top 5, and finding himself in the last chance qualifier. A rider of Phil Lawrence's caliber, I think be no problem for him qualifying, but that means he's going to get a lousy gate pick for the main event. Also, he's going to take a lot out of him. It's kind of humid down there. The track's rutted. It takes a lot more strength to ride than usual.
So we have Ezra Lusk, Todd DeHoop, number 18, number 22, Buddy Antonez. There's a good shot of Ezra Lusk out of Bainbridge, Georgia. Now Ezra is coming off 2 very encouraging races where he placed in 4th position in both. He won the heat in one and took 2nd in the heat, qualifying heat, in the next race in Dallas, Texas. He's been getting great starts. He had some problems in the earlier qualifying round, however.
Well, the difference between getting in through the first corner first or third, what we've seen so far tonight, makes a huge difference. You wouldn't think that being in top 5 in the first corner would be a problem, but it has been so far. So he's got to get out to one of those great starts like he's been doing lately to have a shot at getting out of here without any trouble.
Greg Albertine, of course, after an experimental year in his first year of Supercross last year, has been having a hard time getting into the main event. And once he's gotten in, his best performance is in 11th place in Anaheim, California. Or I should say Minnesota. Minneapolis, Minnesota, his 11th place finish.
Well, he's provided some pretty spectacular crashes for us, that's for sure. And hopefully that's out of his system. Some of it seems like it's bad luck, but, you know, we've talked about it all year long. You make your own luck a lot of times.
Well, on press day last year, on a Thursday here, he did the deed for the press and hurt his shoulder real bad. Did not participate in the main event. Went right to South Africa to heal up to his hometown. He's right next to Larry Ward on the right there, number 6. Also Kevin Crine, Cliff Palmer. And we're getting set, revving up and out of the gate. It's a Suzuki out in front, Greg Albertine, who's had pretty good starts. Larry Ward to the far side, Mike Brown to the near side. And Ezra Lusk now moves into 3rd place as they go through the whoops. Todd DeHoop, number 18, is giving 34. Ezra Lusk all he can handle on the inside. But out in front is Larry Ward.
Lusk rode right around the outside of DeHoop. Just behind these two, you'll see him come into your screen. There he is in 3rd. He needed to make that pass quick, because I don't think DeHoop is capable of running the pace of these front runners for very long. Lusk is. He's been fast the past couple of weeks.
Here's our leader, Larry Ward. And for Ward, He's coming off his best performance of the year. This will be a real test this week to see how serious he is about the sport, don't you think?
Definitely. You know, these guys have been pretty inconsistent. They both have a lot of speed. I've talked to DeCoster about this team, and he's just trying to get these guys to build some confidence, especially even LaRocco. He's had his share of problems this year, and the bike seems to be working good. They've proven it from time to time, but consistency has been a real problem over Suzuki.
Larry Ward is number 1 out in front, number 6 on his bike. And 16, Albertine is in second. 34, as we watch him there on your screen, is Ezra Lusk in third. DeHoop is being approached by Mike Brown in a battle for fourth, along with Steven Antonez.
Well, Mike Brown came out of the whoop section and heading into the first triple on the first lap, and looked like he had a good spot there. He's probably about fourth. He missed a gear and wasn't able to do the triple, lost a couple of spots. Now he's got to work his way back in there, but he's got the speed.
The two Suzukis we're watching right now, Albertine and Lusk, are catching up a little bit on Larry Ward, the leader, here in the semi-qualifying round number 2.
Well, Ward's got to be coming off some confidence. Last week, running second for so long in the main event, finally ended up in third. Said he got a little tired towards the end. But anytime you get a good finish like that, you carry that momentum and confidence into the next race.
We're in semifinal number 2. 5 riders will go to the main event. Ezra Lusk has taken over second place. Number 34 on number 16, Greg Albertine. As I mentioned, though, 5 riders will transfer out of this race to the main event. More Supercross from Indianapolis after semifinal round number 2. This battle is for first place now. Ezra Lusk on the Suzuki number 34, challenging the Honda Troy rider Larry Ward number 6, and Ezra Bird above with Larry Ward. Bringing this crowd alive as they go over that triple jump. Ward with the angle, and getting into the mix is Albertine once again in third. Albertine careful, though, not to mix it up with Ezra.
No, he's better off to stay back there. These guys might take each other out. Lusk went in there and took it away from Ward after the whoops. Ward wasn't happy with it, obviously, and he went back in there and steered completely out of the good line just to cut off Lusk.
Larry Ward, coming off the European campaign in the offseason with a broken thumb, got the late start, and has just really disappointed himself, I think, in his season. But he's trying to come back after hitting the podium for the first time in Houston, Texas last week. Larry Ward with the lead. Ezra Lusk second, and Albertine in third.
Well, here's another look at the pass. Lusk had just cut off Larry Ward. Jumps the triple. They almost get together. We saw it happen to Lawrence. Locked Larry Ward. He goes all the way back in there, cuts him completely off. Albertine might have been able to get them both if Larry Ward had stayed there any longer, but Ward controlled it now. I think he's served notice to Lusk that he's not going to put up with any of that. Now he's pulled away a little bit.
Mike Brown of Honda of Troy is in the final transfer spot in number 5. But it's Ward out in front. Ezra Lusk, number 34, in second. And Albertine, number 3rd, the 3-time world champion. Mike Brown in 4th. And Buddy Antonez in 5th.
That's a tricky section, going the other way there and then coming back this way towards the finish line. As those jumps get rutted out, the riders pick a different route. They roll over the first one and they jump the odd jumps through there. That way they don't have to do the jumps that have all the ruts in them. We saw that this past lap. Lusk doing it a little bit different than Ward. We'll see if that pays off on the last lap here.
It's going to be interesting to register this track a little bit and see how bad those ruts get for the main event. Albertine in 3rd, number 16.
Well, typically they'll roll over it with the dozers and dress it up a little bit before the 125 main, but they got 15 laps of 125s.
Here's the battle for the lead in the semifinal number 2. Ezra Lusk is putting the heat on Larry Ward as they go over the monster triple.
Ward sensing him on the inside, moves all the way over. And this is that section I talked about. Look, Lusk is doing the jumps a little bit different.
Lusk jumping over those with the big ruts. David, you're right.
I don't think he's close enough. Ward's going to have it pretty easy.
The checkered flag for Larry Ward. Ezra Lusk gets to the main event with the 2nd place finish. Albertine will be number 3. Mike Brown and Antonez 4 and 5 as they have lots of room on Todd DeHoop, the next rider. So 18 of the 20 gate positions have now been filled. Will be right. Number 2, Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed from Indianapolis, the home of the Colts, the Pacers, the Indy 500, and Marty Reed. These 5 riders avoiding the LCQ, making it to the main event from semifinal number 2. So Marty is right now with, I'm sure, An encouraged Larry Ward after his fine finish of last week. He comes back here in the semifinals to make his way to the main. Marty?
Well, I'm down here, and Larry's watching the big Diamond Vision screen, taking a look at the almost pass. Was that a wake-up call when he pulled alongside of you in that triple?
No, it's a little ready out there tonight, and I didn't jump the triple, a couple corners before that, and he caught up to me, and I don't know, we were close, but, it's a real good track for racing. It's going to be close racing all night tonight, and Ez has been riding real well, so we had a good race.
We keep asking everybody, is tonight the night that McGrath finally gets beat?
It all depends. If he gets a whole shot, it's going to be tough, but if he gets a bad start, it's going to be really hard for him tonight with all the ruts and the lack of passing that's going on out there tonight.
Larry Ward, your winner in heat semi number 2.
Well, the start is the essential thing, that's for sure, because it'll get worse and worse with the riders bunching together. Harder to pass, harder to come up through the field we've seen so far in the qualifying rounds. Now, before we get to the future superstars of the sport battling in the 125 main event, it's a Suzuki riding tip from Mike LaRocco.
One of the most difficult obstacles to master is the whoop section. Many fast riders lose races in the whoop section because they've never taken the time to learn the proper technique. There are several things that have to happen well before you reach the jump if you want to be successful. Before the race, walk the track. Then during practice, ride slowly.
We were away. The last chance qualifier concluded with Todd DeHoop and Phil Lawrence, the last two riders to make tonight's 250 main event. And the complexion of the 125 main event changed drastically in qualifying. John Dow, the points leader by 1 point over Mikel Pichon, crashed with Jezik in the qualifying round, had to go to the LCQ, hurt his back and forearm in the crash so badly that he failed to qualify, David Bailey.
Well, you can see him all bunched up right here. He was in a close battle. All he had to do is pass a couple more riders. Couldn't do it.
So John Dowd will not be in the main event, even though he's the points leader. Let's go to Marty Reed.
And this is one of those days John Dow would like to have all over again. It started off really badly because you had an accident in the practice session, and that's what injured your arm initially.
Yeah, first practice today kind of just started out my whole day, but I had a little crash and kind of hurt my arm and mangled up my bike pretty good, but that was I was hoping that was the end of it, but it wasn't really. In the qualifier I had another crash and went down, and I don't know, I'm just kind of this is definitely a night I'd like to forget.
The pressure on the championship, everybody started coming up to you when you had the 11-point lead saying, hey, you can win this thing, you can win this thing. Did that have any factor in this?
Well, I'd like to say no, but I mean, I don't really know. I guess the last few weeks I felt like I wasn't quite as sharp, or whatever as I was in the beginning. I wasn't really getting the starts I was looking for, and maybe it was in the back of my mind. It was kind of working on me. I was trying real hard not to think about it, but I'm sure it probably had a little bit to do with it.
Well, guys, I can tell you, I talked to Mikel Pichon right before the start here. He says he will not change his riding tactics. He's going to go for a quick lead, stay steady, stay smooth. John, we'll see you next time.
So Mikel Pichon, who trails, you see here, John Dow by only a point, pretty much has his way. Maybe Tim Ferry's up to the task, David.
Well, he's not that far behind, and he was pretty close to Pichon in the heat race. Actually closed in on him just a little bit.
Here's our Suzuki starting grid with Pichon, Tim Ferry, Brian Deegan. Scott Sheik might give him a ton. Corey Keeney, Davey Jezik, who was involved in the crash. With our number 7, John Dowd, putting John Dowd down. Jimmy Neese, number 61. And we've got a local favorite, Jeffrey Baker, number 431. So we've got a lot of triple numbers making this field.
We do, and as Pichon looks like he's adjusting his clutch lever a little bit. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll adjust that a little bit tighter. That way when the clutch gets hot later in the race and it starts to develop that little bit of free play, you only use a finger or two on it, and that clutch will come all the way and hit your other fingers, but it doesn't engage. So he's putting a little bit extra in there, anticipating he's going to burn that clutch here tonight.
101 Perillo, 26 is Scott Sheik. As we go down the starting line,
I think it's smart for Pichon to continue to ride his regular race plan, because you saw what happened to him in Atlanta. He got behind some guys. Guy went down in front of him. That's what caused him to miss a main.
The reason for the delay, number 47, Nathan Ramsey, out of Hickson, Tennessee, on a Suzuki, is having just a little problem with his bike. We don't know what the problem is yet, but that's the reason for the delay. The 32nd board has not gone up yet.
That happened to Scott Sheik earlier in the year, and they didn't give him the time. He was pretty upset about it. He's right there next to Pichon.
And it kind of appears they're playing with the plugs right now, I think.
Maybe it could have fouled. Sometimes these bikes run a little bit richer when they got to ride slow during that parade lap.
Let's see if Marty Reed's got a good angle. Marty?
I'll tell you what, you guys got x-ray eyes. That's exactly the problem. The plug did foul, and they are in the process of drastically trying to get this thing changed. I'm surprised they're giving him this much time. Everybody else is ready to go.
Well, Nathan Ramsey has 2 fourth-place finishes, Marty, on the season, and 3 seventh-place finishes. He's a pretty good rider, so I think they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, David.
Well, now that Dowd's out of the picture, that I'm sure they want to keep everybody in there they possibly can. Pichon, he's looking at it. Sometimes that messes you up when you got a guy next to you frantically, having problems like that. It takes you a little bit out of your mental game.
Oh, the pressure's on the mechanic right now. They do it as quickly as possible.
And the bike is hot, so the mechanic, he's got those mechanics gloves in there working on it, try to keep from burning his hands.
Chad Watts, Mikel Pichon's mechanic, with his hand in the air. Marty, I see you tucked in right behind there. You better get out of there. You're going to get roosted, partner.
I'll tell you guys, Mikel Pichon was more interested in watching that plug get changed than anything else. And if you're getting ready for a race, David Bailey, you should know it better than any of us. You got to be focusing straight ahead.
Yeah, you sure do.
32nd board is now up as our partner Marty Reed heads for cover. And we're just about set for the 125 main event.
Davey Jezik, number 40 right there, Art, lined up almost on the very outside. He did that in the last chance qualifier. He didn't get off the gate very good. He went behind everybody all the way across to the inside. Got a pretty good start.
Number 111, Jeremy Buell, right next to Mikel Pichon, who wants to take him to the points lead. And they're off. A big pack. Look for some action in the first turn. Mikel Pichon gets a good, clean start with Barry Karsten out in front, number 31.
Karsten shot by him into that whoop section. Pulled out a little bit of a lead, but he's only going to do the double right here.
And Mikel Pichon immediately goes to the front of the action. So watch this smooth, wonderful rider from Le Mans, France, as he now has the concentration and the knowledge that his main competitor is not even in this race. So he might take it a little easy, David Bailey.
Well, he did right there. He only elected to do the double off of that triple. Took a little chance. Karsten had a run at it. He could have perhaps jumped it and passed him back, but didn't happen.
Karsten is getting a challenge right now. Number 31 and number 82, Yenser, bar to bar. Yenser to the outside, though, as they take it to the straightaway. A short straightaway before going into the whoop section. Karsten has been pretty fast in those whoops.
He was quick there the first lap. He wasn't as quick that time. He's going to the inside in the corner right there. He's not going to be able to jump that triple once again.
And here comes Yenser. He goes for the triple and boxes him out nice on the pass in the corner. So Yenser takes over second place with Mikel Pichon pulling away.
That just shows how, look at the lead Yenser has right now on Karsten. He's pulled out already about 15 bike lengths. That's about how far he is behind the leader, Pichon, right now. Pichon, he can almost cruise this one.
Scott Sheik is moving up on Karsten, as it's Pichon, Yenser, Karsten, Sheik, and Tony LaRusso. We'll be right back with the finishing touches on this 125 main event from the RCA Dome in Indianapolis right after this. Indianapolis, Indiana, the RCA Dome. Out in front is Mikel Pichon, but we've got a great battle for third place. Tim Ferry, number 3 in the point standings, is all the way back in 10th place.
Well, that's the next closest competitor in the points anyway to Pichon. Gets a terrible start. He was as far back as 15th in the beginning.
Brian Deegan passing Yenser. Yenser casing it very, very hard. And Deegan was able to breeze by him. Goes Scott Sheik, number 26 on the Suzuki. You see him there, clean out in front.
Deegan right behind him, though, starting to close up. Deegan came up behind all those guys, caught him quick, went right around him, forced him probably into those mistakes. He seems to be, other than Pichon, the guy on the move right now.
Mikel Pichon, Karsten, and then Deegan.
You see how far it is? Pichon's got a whole straightaway, that whole loop section all the way back to Karsten.
What a lift this has got to be for Barry Karsten, the privateer that tries to qualify in both the 250 and the 125s every week.
Pichon, feet on the peg, standing up, jumps everything perfect. He doesn't have to do that triple right there. It's getting pretty rutted. Now that soft soil just sucks the horsepower of 125. But his timing is great. You see a lot of same things from Pichon that we see from McGrath in the 250. He puts the bike where he wants it. He gets in the right berm. His lines come together. You never see him right there. He goes to the inside of that deep berm so he doesn't drag the bike through there. He's always thinking ahead. He knows that a lot of riders are going to come through there since he went through there. The ruts are going to get deeper, and he's already got an answer the following
Here's
lap.
our Honda stopwatch as we check in coming out of the whoop section to check out his lap time. You can see the tremendous interval on Barry Karsten in second place, 9.1 seconds. And then Scott Sheik along with Deegan coming up.
About 13 or so seconds back to Deegan, but there's Barry, 20 seconds down. He's got a lot of work to do, and that's going to drop him considerably in the points if he can't make up time. But Pichon, feet on the peg. This kid's got such good balance, and I think the more rutted the track gets, the more he'll shine against his competition. He doesn't even, not even fazed by it, really, Art.
Mikel Pichon ripping by a lapper. He won the first race of the year in Orlando, gate to flag. He took second in the East-West confrontation with Wyndham and got a little bit concerned because of the big crash in Atlanta. Put him 19th position. Look at that, a 54.6 lap.
Pretty quick. I think part of that is because of the track design this week. The soil is making it really tougher than the track design is. It's one of the easier ones we've seen, but 15 laps, this track gets rutted out. Riders start to make a lot of mistakes. Deegan, who was on the move earlier, putting a lot of pressure on everybody, caught these guys quick, but once he's gotten there,
Here goes Deegan as he leaps by. Yes, Scott Sheik. And Deegan is now putting pressure on Barry Karsten for second place. Karsten, number 31. There's Deegan, number 25. Deegan with a team chaparral.
I was about to say, once he caught up to those guys, he was unable to do anything about it. As soon as I opened my mouth, Sheik made that mistake. Now Karsten rolling through there, starting to make a lot of mistakes.
Our field summary, Pichon way out in front. Karsten has his hands full with the third place rider, Deegan, number 25.
These guys are in a complete different class. You see them using that deep rut through there. Their lines aren't quite as nice as what Pichon's got going. Pichon's doesn't really look like he's trying very hard, but he's got so much momentum everywhere, and he's jumping the triple every lap, so he's pulling away. These guys are just starting to do the double. Deegan, though.
Oh, Deegan doing the move on Karsten. Cuts to the inside and cuts in front. Here comes Deegan. And number 31, Barry Karsten. Karsten, he cased it right there.
This track is really starting to take its toll. These 125s, you got to keep them pinned wide open to try to get any run at these doubles. As the ruts get deeper, it starts to drag speed off these bikes from the foot pegs and the bottom of the frame. Karsten having his problem through the doubles.
It's Pichon, Deegan, Karsten, then Sheik, and coming up number 42, Tony LaRusso in that order. Right now, we're on Scott Sheik and Karsten, the battle for second.
You can see the guy standing up on top of the jump, giving him the halfway. Pichon has got about a 18-second lead right now, Art.
Well, Barry Karsten, he's really a workhorse. There's no question about it. His best finish last year was a 4th at Charlotte. Take a look at Karsten on the far side.
Came up way short. He didn't have the run at this jump. Watch him. He got a little sideways.
Ouch.
He was in the right position with his body to try to hold that back end down, though, and pulled it off. But that took a lot of energy out of him. You can guarantee that.
Karsten was a 5th place finisher in the opening race of the year in Orlando. That was his best 1-2-5 finish of the season. And there you had Jimmy Neese off the track trying to restart.
What happens is after they come off the finish line jump, is right after where he got off there, there's ruts in the bottom, so you're in the air and you don't know where you're going to land. He got crossed up in the ruts, went off the track. Now he can't get the bike started.
Jimmy Neese, having his problems, has failed to qualify in the last 2 races. It's not because he's not a good rider. He just had all kinds of problems. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, guys, I got to tell you, the Chaparral team has got to be ecstatic right now with Brian Deegan running in second place. He's writing down here on the board, be smart. You guys got to be ecstatic right now.
Yeah, I'm very ecstatic. I'm going crazy, especially when he's hurt.
Now, you heard him mention when he was hurt. What's been wrong with him?
He's got a really bad sprained ankle. He hurt it in Houston.
Well, that's something we didn't know about, guys. So the sprained ankle is still going on for Brian Deegan. We thought that was a minor deal, and it's still a major factor for him, but he's running in second.
Yenser and Karsten have both gone down while Marty was on the air, and Ferry is now in fourth place. Look out, we might have a race yet. Here's Karsten getting back up into the action right now.
Carson's been making a lot of mistakes. We're going to take another look at what happened.
Brian Deegan, you see, in second place, and Karsten just let it slip.
Well, he tried to go outside of that rut. Becomes kind of an off-camber at that point. The front end just washed out on him.
And this young man, Mikel Pachon, with a tremendous lead. As we take a look at the field summary, Brian Deegan, this could be his best race of his career. Scott Sheik, Tim Ferry now into fourth, with Tony LaRusso in fifth.
So a track that started out being a pretty easy layout is really taking its toll on everybody other than Pachon, just because of the sticky soil and all those ruts.
David, what will the effect of this 125 race have on the 250s coming up?
Well, they normally have time in the program to dress the track up a little bit, roll some of the jumps, fix the takeoffs of these triples before the 125. But after this race, they don't have a lot of time before the 250s. And you can see how rutted it's getting. That's going to be terrible for those guys. Plus, they got to go 5 extra laps more than the 125 made.
Well, a big concern here in looking at the battle for second place with Deegan out in front right now. Scott Sheik is running into lappers. There's no place to go sometimes.
Right. You can see it's held him up a little bit now. Just on the right of your screen is Tim Ferry. He's starting to move up on second and third. Second's not out of the question for him. If he's able to pull that off, that'd be an excellent ride for him.
Ferry not very far behind Brian Deegan and Scotty Sheik.
That'll keep him close in the points, but Pachon, if Ferry can get in there, still going to pull away 3 points and put some time on him.
Here comes Sheik, making a move, trying on Deegan. His best finish is 6th place this year, and it is Scotty Sheik, number 26. He's off to his best Supercross year ever.
I talked to Sheik before Houston, and he said that his trainer and he's been working really hard on trying to improve his conditioning, a lot of circuit training. He doesn't have a Supercross track to practice on, but he spent a lot of time in California and told me that he had a chance to
Number 26, Scotty Sheik failed to qualify in Dallas. He had a crash in the LCQ, but he had 3 pretty good performances in a row before that. A 5th place in Atlanta, an 8th place at Daytona, and a 9th place in Houston.
And we'll find out how fit he is, because Ferry, you can see just back there at the end of these 3 riders, is gaining fast. Deegan made a little mistake right there. You can see how much these riders are having trouble with the ruts. You can't expect these guys to go a whole lot without making a mistake.
Taking another look as we have Scott Sheik on the screen right now. Let's go back a ways.
Sheik coming up the inside in that little rhythm section of all those doubles. This takes the inside away from Deegan. That's a smart line. You could see going in that Deegan didn't have a run coming out of the corner to jump the double, and he just went in front of him and shut the door.
For those who have never ridden a bike, how do you cut a corner like that, David?
Well, it's a lot of practice. A lot of practice. It's tough.
Little rear brake in there?
Well, it's funny. On a track that's this soft, it's like riding on a sponge. You don't even need the brake. As soon as you shut off, that soil just saps all the horsepower right out of you.
Our leader in a big way is Mikel Pachon. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, we're down here with Lee McCollum. Look at him waving people by. He wants his man to go after Sheik, Timmy Ferry, and it looks like he is making a charge. Lee, he got a horrendous start, but it looks like he's coming back strong.
Yeah, he's trying to work his way through the pack. It's really tough with all those ruts out there. He's doing the best he can, but I don't know, if we can just get to second, it'd be great.
White flag is out, guys. This is it.
And Mikel Pachon is long gone, but this is still a battle right here. Tim Ferry to the inside has Scott Sheik on the turn.
That was a great move. You can see him set it up as they approach the finish line jump. He squared off that one berm, positioned himself on the inside, didn't leave Sheik anywhere to go.
You know, we could have a great finish on this last lap with the 3 riders gunning for second place.
Oh, I think so. You can see how close. Oh, Sheik cased it on that double right there. Almost went down. He's going to lose a couple of spots.
So it's Tim Ferry and Deegan in back of number 1, Mikel Pachon. The checkers for Mikel. So Pachon now has won his 4th race of the season. A win in Orlando, a win in Daytona, a win in Dallas, and right here in Indianapolis. Tim Ferry, who had a very atrocious start, has come across the finish line right now with the checkers waving in 2nd place. So a yeoman performance for Tim Ferry on a track that's very difficult to catch up on. Marty Reed will be with those headed toward the victory stand when we come back to Indianapolis. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed as Mikel Pachon has victored here with the 125 main event. Tim Ferry taking 2nd. Deegan, a very fine performance for 3rd, holding in there. Sheik for a 4th, and LaRusso in 5th. And right now, with our winner, is Marty Reed.
Well, we talked about maybe we thought he might be distracted by that spark plug incident. You're watching that. We thought maybe your focus might have been away. You destroyed this field.
Yeah, that was a pretty good ride. I'm very happy. I got a pretty good start, and at the beginning, I was not riding so good, making many mistakes, and after a couple of laps, I started to ride very good to have a good line, and that was an easy win, and that was easier for me because I knew that John Donne was not on the track, and I knew I could take the lead even with a 2nd or 3rd place, so that was very easy. I was not nervous at all. That was perfect.
Well, it looked very good from our end too, Mikel. You are the points leader, and next time you can go ahead and change the spark plug, and he's still probably a win. Tim Ferry, the bad news was you got a horrible start. The good news was, what a comeback.
Yeah, you know, I felt good this weekend. The track wasn't as good as I would like to have been, but I rode it good in practice, and I felt good in my heat race. If I could have got a better start, I think I could have stayed pretty close with them and maybe not beat them.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was fun for us to watch. It may have been a nightmare for you trying to take some of those jumps. How bad is it? We got the 250 main coming up, and it's really rutted.
Yeah, I'm just glad I was the first one out. My heat race, the track was perfect. There was no ruts. Felt real good. But, yeah, I'm just happy to know that I come on strong at the end. This whole year, you know, people have been saying I'm getting tired, but I'm just getting frustrated, and finally that race, you know, I hung on tight all to the end.
Well, great ride. We enjoyed watching it. Tim Ferry, 2nd place.
Okay, Ferry still in 3rd place as we take a look at the pass on Scott Sheik with the white flag waving.
Well, Ferry just cut back to the inside, set that up perfect. Look, Sheik's going into the berm, doesn't even realize he's there, sticks his leg out to keep his balance. Did a good job to keep it upright, and then he ended up making some mistakes on the last lap. Lost. Yeah, there he was looking back. That was his mistake.
So after the intense pressure to make up an 11-point deficit last week, Pachon picked up 10 points on Dowd. He now goes into the lead as we take a look at the Suzuki point standings. It is Mikel Pachon with 146 points to 122 for the non-riding John Dowd. Ferry still in 3rd with 118. The championship celebration is taking place now when we return. It's the best of the best as the field gets together to bring you Super Mac. Jeremy McGrath trying to bring him back to earth. The 250 main is next.
You buy Dunlop, simply the best for your bike.
Welcome to the RCA Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana. Art Ekman and David Bailey as we get set for the highlight of the evening, the 250s, and whether Jeremy McGrath can make it 10 Supercross victories in a row. And David, I don't think it takes an Einstein to figure out things after qualifying. If Jeremy gets a good start, going to be darn hard to catch. If he doesn't get a good start, this track condition could be the streak breaker.
Well, I think so, because it's so rutted and you have to pick your line. If somebody's in his best line, he may not be able to pull away like he has been. We may see a Seattle type situation brewing. Huffman's riding good tonight. The track's rutted a lot like Seattle was, and I think it's all in the start. A lot of guys that are riding good though tonight. Hughes is riding good. Bradshaw, Wyndham's in the 250 class this week, looking relaxed. And
don't forget Jeff Emig.
Emig won his heat race as easily as McGrath won his. Sounded pretty confident. He wants to win bad.
It's a good time for the Dunlop Track Fact with Marty Reed.
Well, guys, the mechanics can help you with the tire selection. We talked about the rutting tonight here on this course, and they can help you pick the right tire. In fact, one of the reps said if we had slicks, we could use them. There is so much grip in this track. You can just feel it. They've had a lot of snow in this area. In fact, less than 10 days ago, there was 3 inches of snow, and this is very wet soil. But the other element that comes into this now is everybody knows that fact. But what happens with all this grip? Now the rider becomes important. We keep talking about why Jeremy McGrath is so good off the starting line. That clutch action is very crucial. If he lets that clutch out too fast, the front end comes up. The front end comes up, you're at the back of the pack. So watch the start, watch the front end. If you see anybody's nose coming up, you know that they've let that clutch pop just a little bit too soon.
Jeremy McGrath surveys the course here on the practice lap.
Now, he's always checking out the course. He's got Jeff Stanton out there on the headset. No secrets.
The Suzuki starting grid: Jeremy McGrath, Emig, Hughes, Ward, LaRocco, Mike Brown, Damon Huffman, Kyle Lewis doing a good job coming off injury, Doug Henry in a comeback year. But don't rule out Damon Bradshaw and Ezra Lusk. We've seen some good action from them in the qualifying.
Well, Bradshaw was close to Jeremy in the heat race. He made a few mistakes, and then he was actually closing on Jeremy again when a lapper kind of got in his way. Couldn't do the triple and faded a bit, but it's the best I've seen Bradshaw look in a while.
Mike Craig is not in the lineup. The Honda of Troy rider, coming off a broken leg, was only on the bike twice before Dallas, and the results, well, 2 and 3 crashes a try. Here's Damon Bradshaw and Steve Butler, his mechanic, to the left. Number 28, getting ready for it.
Well, he had started off the season with a couple of podiums. He was looking good, and then the bottom sort of fell out. Then he got it back together in Daytona, second place there. Good battle with Huffman. He was nowhere near Jeremy, but still that was good. And he's kind of lost his rhythm since then. So hopefully the way he looked in his heat race will show in the main. Ryan Hughes also been
every right to enjoy this city too, David. Ryan Hughes has done a great job. Last year, his best ride of his career up to that point. His first 250 podium with a second place finish. And he comes off that strong comeback second place effort last week. Good clean pass on Emig during that race.
Well, he proved that he could come from behind. And the question is really if Hughes can get a good start, and McGrath is maybe 4th or 5th, or maybe even further back in the pack. There he is right there fiddling with his goggles, getting those last words from Skip Norfolk like always. Hughes has got a good chance.
Got some problems there, but Larry Ward's bike, David.
Yeah, it's the same like we saw Pichon, and he was just adjusting his clutch lever a little tighter, anticipating perhaps a little bit more play as the race continues.
Jeff Emig, 3rd in points, but looking for an elusive breakthrough win here tonight.
He got such a good start in his heat race. When they got about 30 feet out over the gate, it was obvious he had the whole shot by a bike length. If he can do that again.
42,000 fans here at the RCA Dome, ready for the main event in 250 action. That 32nd board has not gone sideways yet, as they anticipated, looking and shaking out their arms, getting loose as they can, adjusting their goggles.
Number 1 and 2, there's Wyndham right next to him.
5 to 10 seconds, and we'll be underway here from the RCA Dome. Who gets the break? On the inside is Doug Henry, number 15. Jeremy McGrath tries to cut inside, but he is 4th right now going into the whoops. Doug Henry is our leader with Emig in 2nd. Lusk in 3rd, Jimmy Button in 4th.
Oh, Doug Henry is gone. He's got a huge lead. Everybody for 2nd is all bunched up. This is what Henry needs.
McGrath is in 7th position. And it is Albertine going down in that turn as we look ahead. Here's Jeremy McGrath trying to get on Hughes. But out in front is Doug Henry, Emig, Lusk, Button, Bradshaw, Hughes, and then Jeremy McGrath.
McGrath's going to have it tough because the guys that are riding good tonight are right in front of him. Bradshaw, Hughes, Emig, all those guys are ahead of him. And Doug Henry, who's been riding so good lately, look at him jump that finish line jump. He's got a clear track.
So Jeremy McGrath comes over the finish line in 6th position already.
He already got around Hughes, though.
Doug Henry zipping through the whoops. Oh, my goodness. Ezra Lusk right behind number 2, Emig, and there you see number 1. Could this be the time that this tremendous string of races over motocross, supercross, altogether 14 straight winning events?
This could definitely be it. We heard Slink talk about riders that get bothered by riding in traffic, thinking about the guys in front and behind them and how good it is to have a clear track. That's what Henry's got right now, and Emig is fast. He's going to push him.
Don't you think it important for Emig to try to get by Henry as quick as possible?
I think so, but I think Henry's holding his own right now. He's not able to do the jump this time. If he starts to hold up Emig just a little bit, which it appears as though he's starting to do, yes, it will be crucial for Emig to get around it.
Jeremy McGrath has moved into 5th place around Jimmy Button as we go to the whoop section. Henry 15, Emig 2, Ezra Lusk 34. There's McGrath pounding on Bradshaw.
Well, what Bradshaw needs to do is ride like he used to. Make that bike wide, make it tough.
Button is not letting him get away. Here's Emig making the rush for the lead. Jeff Emig takes over the lead from Doug Henry. Here comes Ezra Lusk on the inside.
Well, Emig really pushed Henry out wide, opened the door for Lusk. Henry shut it, though, and Bradshaw's right there. What a race.
Oh, we've got 5 bikes just like a freight train.
I think Bradshaw was, at one time in his career, when he and Matasevich used to battle, was one of the toughest guys in the world to pass. Kind of developed sort of a bad name, but he is tough. And if he can realize what's going on behind him, McGrath is back there, and keep him there for a while, that'll be real good news for Emig.
He's in 5th position right now as we take a look at the battle for 2nd and 3rd. It is Henry, Lusk, and Bradshaw with Jeremy McGrath right there waiting for any possible mistake.
Bradshaw's in a tough spot right there because it looks like he's got the pace to perhaps get around his teammate Henry, and if he leaves the door open anywhere trying to get around, McGrath is right there.
It would be key if these riders slow up Jeremy, but look at Jeremy McGrath on the inside of David Bradshaw. He boxes him out with a great move.
That's the only way to pass out here. This track is fairly simple in a design, and the only way to get around is to get physical like that, and McGrath pulled it off.
Emig is not pulling away. He's still only got a 2-second lead on Ezra Lusk in 2nd, and then it's Henry.
Bradshaw running into the back of Jeremy. He's got to stay in contact. He can get up there and mess with him a little bit. Perhaps make Jeremy think a little bit about him. That'll slow McGrath's pace down, but look at him. He's already around Henry, too. Pull and tear up. Everything's working perfect for this guy. He carves through the pack like no one I've ever seen.
Well, he's showing why he's the greatest Supercross rider of all time. Not only the most career wins of any rider in just 3 seasons, in 4 seasons, actually. He's got 38 wins, counting the 9 straight this year. He's looking for his 10th straight.
And McGrath just kind of blew it right there. He came out of the corner, tried to get over that double, cased it. Doesn't really bother him, though. He realizes that as long as Emig's not pulling away, he doesn't care what place he's in. He knows that 20 laps is a long time, and he's got the composure to stay in the game.
There you see the Yamaha riders, Henry, number 15, and Damon Bradshaw. They're battling for 4th.
Really thought Bradshaw and Hughes had the pace tonight to stay with McGrath, but he went right around him, has already pulled away. The guy's unbelievable.
Emig now with about a 2.5-second lead on Ezra Lusk as we look at the battle for 4th.
Looks like Henry now is trying to make a couple little mistakes here and there. He might be riding a little nervous. He hasn't gotten this good of a start in a while. And if Bradshaw can get around him, he may be able to get up there and stay with him.
Henry in 4th. It's only his 5th race back since the broken back injury.
Bradshaw going wide. He's going to try to come out and jump this double. Put himself on the inside. Almost works.
McGrath, let's keep you posted. He's only 4 seconds off the lead.
He's actually losing a little bit of time, though. I thought once he got into 3rd that he would start to close. He's lost a little bit of time to Lusk, and Emig is slowly pulling away. Not much.
This is our battle for 4th place. And it's really not, they're not making a move. Henry holding off Bradshaw. Here comes Damon on the inside now. Bar to bar for the Yamaha riders.
Henry doing a good job to hold him off, but Bradshaw's got the inside through here. That's where Jeremy's been making some of his passes. Not enough.
Emig has now picked up a 2nd on Jeremy McGrath in 3rd.
Well, I think the story here is going to be, can Emig really focus on looking ahead? As soon as he notices if Jeremy can get around into 2nd place, If he sees that on the pit board, that might make him nervous. Once these guys get nervous, start thinking about Jeremy, they start making mistakes, and next thing you know, Jeremy's right there.
As we look at this meaningless battle right here, though, with Henry and Bradshaw, as Henry's done a good job of holding him off, Jeremy is making a move on Ezra Lusk. He's only 2 bike lengths in back as we stitch it there. Lusk, number 34, the Suzuki rider, and Jeremy McGrath. McGrath wants to move into second to try to catch Emig, who is picking up a pretty good lead right now.
Well, Lusk is really fast a lot of places on the racetrack, but he's got a couple of spots here and there where he makes mistakes, just like right there.
What a move by Jeremy McGrath, just waiting for the right time.
Well, he picks his lines. He's in the right place at the right time. He's never following. If he'd have been right behind Lusk right there, it wouldn't have been able anything he could do about it.
He is still 4 seconds in back of Emig. Emig has not been able to pull away since that 1 second lap earlier. Oh, this is going to be a great finish. We anticipate another one from Indianapolis as Jeremy McGrath has to battle from behind. We'll be back with the final action after these words. Welcome back to our 250 main event from Indianapolis, round number 10. It is Emig in first. Jeremy McGrath trying to battle up and get in that position to challenge him. And right now, the crowd goes bananas. Is down is Jeff Emig. Oh, my goodness. Emig looked like he got cross-rutted, David.
Well, that rut after the finish line jump is getting so deep. He got in there and didn't have it squared up in that rut, went down. That's just going to make it so much easier for McGrath now. Lusk is the only guy that can present a challenge, I think, at this point. Emig's going to lose a lot of energy having to pick that bike up. He's pretty far behind.
Taking another look now as Jeff Emig goes into that deep rut, as you said.
Front wheel went over the berm. As he came into there, he went over that little bit of a hump. As they started in the corner, his back end kind of hopped, went around to the inside. I think that threw off his timing a little bit. That's what allowed the front end to wash out over the top of the berm.
Ezra Lusk is right on the tail of Jeremy McGrath around the corner. This could be a good battle after all.
Lusk is a fighter. Like I started to point out, I mean, he's faster than McGrath in places, but if he can put it all together, that's the story. Here and there, he makes little mistakes. Now, he doesn't have the pressure. The pressure's on McGrath. That might make it a little easier for Lusk to ride better.
Let's go down to Marty Reed trackside.
Well, for the first time in several weeks, I've seen a bit of a worried look on Skip Norfolk's eyes. You got one break, but, man, Lusk is staying right with you.
Yeah, you know, but we got a pretty comfortable lead right now. You know, but Lusk is coming up, so we're going to have to keep up and see what happens. You can't push it out here. If you push it, you're going to be on the head. Now, you can't have that happen.
You notice how cool he was? He held out that pit board sign while still talking. This guy can do it all.
He knows what's important.
Well, Lusk he's close. He held that pit board out. He had his eyes on how close Lusk is staying. It's about the same as the last lap. It will fluctuate a little bit because of the lapped riders, and as the track gets more beat up, these riders will start to make mistakes here and there. I like what Jeremy just did. He went over that berm purposely, went just to the outside of it. That way he could get, eliminate any kind of problem like what Emig had lap before.
Our Honda stopwatch. A 2.6 second, I believe, interval between first and second. Pretty close.
See how
anyway.
far back, yeah, you can see 7 seconds or so back to Emig, who fell. Hughes starting to pick up the pace. He's around Henry, but he still hasn't gotten around Bradshaw.
And number 6, of course, is Larry Ward. Jimmy Button, 100. Kevin Windham, number 38, has never been in it. The 125 rider.
Start really proving that how beneficial or much of a problem that can be. Windham came around the first corner, buried in the pack, and he hasn't really been able to do a whole lot. McGrath, I think if we're in the same situation, he'd be able to slice through the pack a little better.
A 2-second lead really now on Ezra Lusk as we take a look at the Honda stopwatch to get an idea as to the lap time. A little slower than I initially thought it was.
Look at Lusk. He's right there. They're only a second faster than Pichon was in the 125 division, but you can bet that McGrath hasn't been able to lay back and cruise, because if he looks over his shoulder just a little bit, he's going to get the pit board in a minute to see that Lusk is still close.
Emig trying to battle back from the crash, is still in third place, though. He's still in a podium position anyway. This has got to be a proud moment for Ezra Lusk and those who believed in Ezra after such a awful year last year, having trouble staying on 2 wheels, pressuring himself in his first year at 250s to come back with a race like this. Now they're lapping LaRocco.
LaRocco way off the pace. I'm not sure if he's having problems or if that was just a bad start or what, but you can see when you're a lap down, you're not even halfway into the race. That's a bummer. Now Lusk choosing a smart line through there. He went just a little bit wide, cut back to the inside. He's starting to lose a little bit of ground to Jeremy, but still close enough to make McGrath think a little bit about it.
Okay, Lusk has a 3-second lead on the third-place bike. Emig, and let's go down to Marty.
Well, we're down here with Ed Longacre. He's writing down position 2, 6 laps, and he's getting ready to signal his man. And I love watching Ed work because he's like a traffic cop out here. You have got to be very happy right now with his performance.
Yeah, really good. I'm just trying to have him ride smooth. It's the first time all year in a while he's been up front with McGrath or anything, so I'd rather not have him throw it away. We got a second place right now. Anything on the podium, and I'm going to dance in the streets tonight.
He may be dancing for us on TV.
LaRocco got hooked on the hay bale, and there was a traffic jam with Buddy Anthonez, Emig, Lusk, and LaRocco. So Lusk has lost a lot of time, and this race now is fully in the hands of Jeremy McGrath.
Well, now you don't get them both in the screen. Emig has made up a little bit of time on Lusk. And if Lusk, I don't like the attitude by Longacre. I understand that, you know, you got to ride smart, but that's the problem. That's why Jeremy wins all the time, because as soon as these guys get into second, they're like, well, this is pretty good. I'm in second place. If they think that way, that's where they'll end up.
Doug Henry, who started the race with all kinds of flair, has now left. And let's go down to Marty.
He's just pulled out of the race. Doug, what happened? What put you out? You had a great start there.
I'm not sure. Something happened with my front end. My mechanic's probably going to go look at it now.
That's too bad. You were riding real well. Was there any fatigue factor in there with your injuries?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm just trying to do the best I could every race, you know.
You did fine tonight.
Thanks.
You see Bradshaw shaking the cobwebs out.
Oh, he went down hard after the triple. He flipped up over the top of the bike. He came down on his back, kind of half over the top of the motorcycle. You see his sleeves shoved all the way up. He took a hard one, and you can see it. He's not getting going very quick.
Bradshaw, as high as 4th in the order, now is just trying to get things back together as Jeremy McGrath clears that triple with ease, and Ezra Lusk is about 4 seconds back, but he's picking up some time.
Yeah, once again, Art, McGrath is starting to lose a little bit of time to Lusk as he comes out of that corner. Look, you can see, just glance over and see Lusk coming in. That'll make him a little nervous. I mean, I think he's in control right here, but if he loses any more time, Lusk is the kind of guy that'll jump in there. You saw what he did to Larry Ward in the heat race. Went in and shut the door on him.
It was interesting. Next time around, let's check how McGrath and Lusk take that turn off the finish line to launch, because they're both taking very different lines. Jeremy now is cutting totally inside. Damon Huffman, number 10, as he passes Damon Bradshaw, who's really shook up. I wouldn't be surprised to see Damon maybe pull off the way he feels. Here's Ryan Hughes, number 5. Now Lusk, look out, as Jeremy McGrath has trouble getting around Albertine. We're looking at Ryan Hughes right now. He is coming on strong, but it is Jeremy McGrath and Ezra Lusk, and only about 5 bike lengths between them. You saw Kyle Lewis go down as Ryan Hughes went by him into the triple, only doubling it.
Lusk just kind of blew that corner a little bit, but he's still making time on Jeremy, but he's looking over his shoulder because he knows Emig's right there. Now they're all on the screen. What a race.
And the rider is down right now. Is that Lewis?
It looks like Lewis. That's a hard concrete floor. I'm not sure how that went. I didn't see it, but chances are he hit that concrete.
It was coming off the triple, right where Bradshaw got hit. Here's Jeremy McGrath, our leader, looking for his 10th straight victory and career victory number 39. Emig has now passed Ezra Lusk while we were watching the injured rider down on the track.
And as they went over the triple...
Oh, Emig almost lost it.
Yeah, as they went over the triple there, they were at least able to double it. The flags were waving for Kyle Lewis, and Jeremy had to roll all 3, so he lost some valuable time to now second place Emig. There's still time enough if McGrath makes any mistakes or has trouble with Labbers for these guys to be a real challenge for the lead.
So we've got Kyle Lewis on the ground and Jeremy McGrath with the sizable lead on number 2. Jeff Emig coming through the whoops. Ezra Lusk looking for his first podium in 250 action. He has 3 4th-place finishes and 1 5th-place finish on the season.
Well, I understand he's got to ride. It's hard to say what I would do in his situation. It looks like Lewis is okay, but, you know, Lusk is so happy with being on the podium like that, running in second place, I don't think he's really riding to his potential. I think he's got the speed to challenge McGrath.
Lewis coming into this race with a sore shoulder is trying to get the medics not to touch the sore shoulder. And also very tough ribs. White flag lap for Jeremy McGrath.
Looks like it might be 10 in a row if McGrath can just keep it on 2 wheels this lap. Even if he loses a lot of time, he's got about a 4-second lead on Emick now. You'll see Emick come into the screen. There he is. Pretty close.
McGrath, Emick, Lusk number 34, and then Hughes is in 4th position. Well, it's been a fascinating race here in Indianapolis. One that had to put a little bit of fright into Jeremy McGrath.
Well, he had to pass all these guys. Emick was ahead of him.
The crowd is standing as Jeremy McGrath not taking any chances on that triple with a knack-knack.
No, it's too rutted for him to show. I can't even believe he jumped it. It's getting so hard. Look, he's got to roll through all these. Only about 50 yards to go now to the finish.
Jeremy McGrath can see the checkers in sight. He has won 10 in a row, equaling his previous record of 10 victories on a season in 1993 and 10 more in 95. And he only has 5 more races to break his own record.
That's unbelievable. He's eliminated a lot of guys from the title. I think the only time we could ever see this guy perhaps lose one is once he's wrapped up the title. He might not have the same desire to go out and keep winning.
Well, Bob Hanna, did he go hunting after he'd wrap up a title?
Usually.
Say
he would
hey.
develop some kind of a hangnail or something before that last race.
Another great one from the 70s, and this is the great one of the 90s, Jeremy McGrath. His 10th straight victory in 10 races this year in Supercross action. What will happen in Tampa? Well, we'll be able to hear from Jeremy McGrath and the other top 250 riders right after these words. Now to Marty Reed.
Well, we're down here with probably the most disappointed guy, Jeff Emick. Tonight, I thought this was going to be the night. One costly rut.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened. I came into the turn, you know, and I was super relaxed, you know, and I was riding the race just like what I wanted to. You know, I kept telling myself that I can win it, and you know, I just hit a little dirt clod, made a little mistake, and the front end, you know, it just went away from me. I'm in utter disgust right now. You can't even understand how I feel right now.
I won't even try, because I know how much this is meant to you. We talked about it at the heat race. Your focus seemed to be there.
Yeah, I mean, the bike was awesome. I mean, you know, I got to start, and you know, when I got out front, I was riding my race. I was doing things like what I wanted to, and I mean, you know, things couldn't have been better, you know. And then I just made a little mistake, and I gave it away, you know. And
still 5 more races to go. Let's move over to the champion. I gotta tell you, for the first time in a long time, you were in some trouble, and there was a lot of eyes looking on you. Did you feel at any time that you were in trouble?
No, I knew I had to get in second as fast as I could with, you know, with Jeff being in front like that. I kind of didn't get such a good start, and he was up front, and he got out in front a little bit faster than I did. And the track was so rutted, I was just biding my time. You know, before we weren't even to the halfway mark before he fell down. So, I mean, it's one of those tracks where you need to take your time.
We could tell how rutted it was because the guys up top side were talking about the fact you weren't doing knack-knacks, you weren't putting on a big show for the crowd.
For sure. The track was dangerous. As you can see, if it just looks like a comb going up the jumps. You know, you got to pick your lines, and that's what I was trying to do. Jeff was riding a great race, and I think he got a little bit antsy once he saw that I was catching him a little bit. And, you know, that's what happens when you're on this tough of a track like this.
Well, congratulations. This is 10 in a row. Can you win one? Just yes or no. Can you win the last 5?
Possibly.
the diplomat. Now he's going to run for president next. He'd probably win that, too. Hey, Ezra Lusk, come on in here. Congratulations. You got to be ecstatic. Best run of the year.
Yeah, I'm just getting a lot stronger, and my bike's getting dialed in, and I'm going, you know, almost 20 laps now full speed. And I was behind Jeremy for too long. I'm like, you know, isn't he supposed to be pulling away from me or what? So I just kept going and going, and I got closer at one point, and I was really, really happy. I didn't know what to do about it, but I just stayed up there. Next weekend, hopefully I can challenge for the lead, because I'm used to it now, and it feels good.
Big stepping stone tonight for you. Where does this take you next on the plateau?
Well, I really like just get in better shape that I've been doing the last few weeks. And I think with that conditioning and the bike, the fine-tuning on the motorcycle, I think it'll put us up front.
Well, guys, We're done in Indianapolis. It's on to round number 11.
McGrath, his 39th victory, and David Bailey, do you think pressure was a factor there? It was mentioned by McGrath.
Absolutely. The pressure is, if Emig was leading it and McGrath hadn't won 9 races, he was just perhaps leading the points but wasn't winning the way he was. It wasn't such a threat back there. I think Emig would have gone in that corner perhaps a little bit differently. That's like these guys are so desperate to try to not make a mistake, do everything right. He pushes them so hard, forces them to go for so much that they make mistakes.
The almost 42,000 fans, many of them staying for the victory ceremony. McGrath now, as we take a look at the Suzuki point standings, unofficially now, of course, he's got 250 points. We know that. Emig is up to 162, and Hughes has 150 points now. And our unofficial total from the booth up here, Lusk, has moved up to 124 points. So I think Lusk has every right to be proud of this ride and his performance over the last 3 weeks.
Well, first I want to congratulate him. I mean, at 2 fourths and then running second like he did, running close to Jeremy and finishing third. But you can hear him. He's saying that partway through the race, well, isn't Jeremy supposed to be pulling away? I didn't know what to do up there. That's the problem, and that's why Jeremy will continue to win as long as these guys don't have the kind of confidence to expect to be there and expect to present a challenge. That's what's going to happen. Bradshaw went down hard. A lot of runners having problems. Henry, all these guys had good starts, and the ruts took their toll. Everyone but Jeremy.